Hi, welcome once again to this array tutorials. So this is the second video on array. Alright, so what we've done in the previous video is simply declaring an array and then initialize an array on the same line, and then assign the values to an array in a for loop, so, and displaying all of those values in a for loop. So we are going to quickly run this to do a recap on what we have done before. So this is all we have done before, and we have demonstrated the use of for each loop to display this array. So let's go ahead and enter the array values. You can see we have this two elements array, right? So they are displayed like this, 1 2, right? So this is what we've done previously, but now we are going to move on to more dimensional arrays, which means an array which can be going in 2 dimensions, this the y-axis and the x-axis. So let's go ahead and remove all this code from this window and leave this console.read key there. Right, so what we have to do right now is to declare an array. So this was a single dimension array declaration. So to declare a more dimensional array, you just have to put this comma inside this curly brace, and you come here and put the size of the array. So let's say we want the 2 by 2 array. This means we are going to have two numbers or 2 elements on the x-axis and 2 elements on the y-axis, which means if we have 1 2, and you can have 3 4 right here, so it will be 2 down and 2 sideways. That's it. So let's go ahead and initialize this array, this more dimensional array. When we initialize the single dimension array, we were using this curly brace and then enter the values inside. But the difference right now is that this is the initialization of a single dimensional array. So if you want to initialize a more dimension array, you have to put another curly brace inside there and put the value for the first set of 2 elements. So we can put 2 elements right here, 1 and separate by a comma, and 2, right? And then we separate a comma these 2 curly braces and open another curly brace again for the last value elements. Right, let's go ahead and put 6 and 3 right there. So this is what we call initialization of an array on a single line, of a more dimensional array on a single line. So if you want to access these values, you go ahead and say write console dot write line, right, like this, and then you write array 1, then the value will be at index, let's say 0, from the y-axis and x-axis, and the 0 from the y-axis, right? This means you are accessing this value, this one right there. So let's go ahead and put comma, since 1 is on 0 on the y-axis and 0 on the x-axis, we are going to display this value. So let's go ahead and run and see if there's no error right there. Right, waiting for the display right now. You can see we have this one as I was explaining. Why? Because this is on 0 on the y-axis and on 0 on the x-axis. So if you want to display the value of this array, or this element in an array, we simply type 1 and 1, right? So by doing this, we are accessing the value of this array right here. So you can see as we go to more dimensional array, to access the values using this method will be ambiguous. So we tend to use what we call a for loop. This where it is most applicable. So let's go ahead and try to initialize this array using a for loop. Right, this will look a little bit different from what you have seen on the single dimension array. So firstly, this array is going to be initialized in a nested for loop, right, for us to get the values from the x-axis and the y-axis. So let's go ahead and declare for int a is assigned to 0, a is less than 2, and then a plus plus, like this. And let's go ahead and open this scale brace, and inside this we are going to put another for loop again for int b is assigned to 0, b is less than 2, and then b plus plus, like this. So by doing this, we are accessing the elements from the y-axis, and this b is this a is for the x-axis, and this b is for the y-axis. So let's go ahead and insert a value. So to insert a value, we are also going to use this comma, this type of bracket right there. So I'm going to say array1 at right a, index a and index b, right, separated by a comma, is assigned to int.pass. What do you want to pass? Console.readLine like this. So this is what we want to fetch from the user. By this loop, we are getting the array elements from the keyboard. So let's put the statement right here to prompt the user to enter the values. So console.readLine, we'll say please enter the array elements, right, like that. So that's it. This is what we want to do. So after doing this, what we want to do is to display the elements which we have inserted using this for loop. So let's go ahead and write this statement, console.readLine, right, and say displaying the array elements, the array elements, right, like this. So that's it. So let's go ahead and type another for loop. So to display this, you need another for loop again. So I'm going to use this for loop for, I've said it doesn't matter even to repeat the variables like what I have declared before a and b. Why? Because this loop ended here, and if you declare another a here, you will be using it for a new loop, right? So I will declare a is assigned to 0 and a is less than 2, and then a plus plus, right, and then open this scale brace and declare another for loop inside int b is assigned to 0, and then b is less than 2, and then b plus plus, like this. So that's it. What do we want to do right here is we want to write the elements, the array elements. So we use console.write, and what do we want to write? We want to write in array 1 at index a, point at b, right, like this. Then we have to add a space between the two values, and then after that, after this loop is ended, we know that the elements for the first line or for the first x-axis is done. So we go on to the next line or to the next row of the array. So let's go ahead and console.writeLine with an empty line like this. So by doing this, we have done all we have to do on an array. Let's go ahead and run it for the first time. You can see how to accept the values from the user using the keyboard, and you can see we have this message, please enter the array elements. So you can enter 1, 3, 5, and 2. But you can see this is what we call a multidimensional array, right, like this. So if you want to change the elements or the size of this array, you can go ahead and play with it on the declaration. So you can put something like 2 by 3, so which means we will be having 2 by 3 elements. So this b should not be less than 2, but it should be less than 3, so that it can accept 3 elements for the y-axis. For the x-axis, right, let's go ahead and run it as I have changed right here. You can see this. You can just experiment it from here. So let's go ahead and put 4, 6, 7, 5, not 5, no, 7 again, 9, and then 3 lastly. You can see I have a 2 by 3 array. This is a 2 by 3 array. So that's it. This is what you need to do to increase the size of an array. You can increase the size even on this first element, or the first y-axis element. This is the y-axis and these are x-axis. So you can increase either this or this, so that you can get the value or the correct size of an array which you want right there. So this is it. That's it, what you need to do when you are dealing with arrays or a multi-dimensional array. If you're a new subscriber, please don't forget to subscribe to Zim Programmer channel for more videos. Thank you. Have a nice time.